Prince Wasaja, and Princess, our daughter, the daughter of the late Matia Nsubuga, Abebtibwa, President General of the Democratic Party, all dignitaries here, the government representative, Minister Mruli, family, friends. I've been asked to keep it short. I'll keep it short and sweet. I stand here with a sense of gratitude, also sadness, but with pride as well as joy, to say farewell on behalf of my siblings to our father. We are 6 siblings. We used to be 7. The eldest is my sister Edith, sitting there. I'm the second born. Anthony is the third. Actually, not the third. The third was our brother Bernard, who passed away in 2006. Anthony is the fourth. Then Martha. Then Abraham. And the last born, Olivia. And we have our spouses and our children. My father has left grandchildren. I stand to pay tribute to him. So much has been said about him that I would not like to add and add. As Honorable Nechon has said, it turns into flattery when you say too much. But I wanted just to pay tribute to him, one as a nationalist, and say that that's also his big legacy. That to us, his children, and to the whole country, he leaves us that legacy of being truly nationalist, loving your whole country, not loving just your tribe or your religion, but loving the whole country. As when he was at Budo, as you have heard, his friends, among the friends he kept talking about and he kept a relationship with post-Budo, were the Honorable Daudi Ocheng, Professor Sente Zakajubi, the late Paulo Sebalu, the late Hannah Lule. I remember as a child, always our stop for coffee was at Hannah's Cafe on Kampala Road in the 70s. So his friends in our house, wherever we went with him, were from all parts of Uganda. At Makerere, I'd love to share with you this story. He told me that in the dormitory, they were living in dormitories. The next person in the dormitory to him was his friend Asteriko Chiwana Sibirwa. They had completely different lifestyles. My father was a disciplinarian. He never drank. He never went out in the evenings. He was studious. He was always in the dorm. His friend, the late Chiwana, liked a good life. He was very brilliant, but he'd go out, he'd have a drink, he'd come home late, and they were friends. Now one night, his friend, the late Chiwana, comes home to the dorm, had had a few drinks, collapsed in his bed, and slept. But because my father was always sober, in the night, he heard people coming in. And then he saw them carrying a can of something, and they poured it all on the late Kiwana, on his bed. And he then smelled a strong stench of petrol. So he got up very quickly from his bed, and the people who had poured the petrol ran out of the dorm. So he woke up his friend, and his friend got up, and he was dripping in petrol. He saved his life. Whoever had poured petrol on him wanted to light a match. And he always was telling me this story about his friend Chiwana, and he saved his life. So we went to Gulu many times with him. He took us to Gulu. We slept in the house of the late Alexander Latim. We slept in the house of the Honorable Gino Bonyo. For him, they were his political friends. He had friends. They were his political friends, political colleagues, and we shared family. And their children and them also came home and stayed with us in our house. He was a nationalist. So I encourage all of us to take this as his legacy too. Whether you are in politics or in academics or wherever, let's learn to embrace everything Ugandan in our lives, in our professions. Second, I want to pay tribute to him as a man who really, really believed in that motto of DP, truth and justice. He lived them. We've talked about how he talked truth to power. This was so important to him, to talk his truth. And in many ways, we, his children, he's taught us that. Every one of us knows how to raise their voice in our house. Everybody says their truth. And he spoke truth to power. And it came with many risks. And again, I want to challenge us all that to be truthful, to talk truth to power requires that there is freedom, that there are no risks to talking your truth. I see a country that has moved further and further away from that, where it is hard to talk your truth and to talk truth to power. Justice. You've heard from my brother. He really always was on the side of justice. He told us that he joined the Democratic Party because it was the party for the excluded. He felt strongly about inclusion, about non-discrimination, about fairness for all. So he joined the Democratic Party because he saw that it espoused or fought or championed the rights of the excluded at the time. Today, I challenge DP, Democratic Party. That mission of championing the cause of the rights, raising the voice of the excluded is as valid today as it was in 1960 when he joined DP. Find your mission, DP. Find your mission. Determine who the excluded are, identify the excluded, and fight their cause. That is the challenge for DP. For the whole country, for the government of the NRM, justice. Justice. For the church leaders, I challenge you too to stand on the side of justice. Look, today, we have nurses and teachers who don't earn a living wage really. And we have members of parliament and ministers and presidents floating in money. That's not justice. That's not what he stood for. We have women dying in childbirth. 17 women every day die in childbirth because of lack of health care. And we have political elites flown out at millions of public money to be treated abroad. That's not justice. Today we have a drought in Uganda. There's drought. There are people who are hungry. We don't see a government that is closing down non-essential services and taking food to people who are suffering hunger. That's not justice. And to the church, you must speak up. When you don't speak up, then you're on the side of injustice. There's no neutrality on these issues. For my father, there was no neutrality. He spoke for justice, he acted for justice, and that's the legacy he leaves us. I want to pay tribute to him as a good parent. He had very, very good parenting skills that I don't have. I want always to learn from him. My father was a politician, but he was a man who, for him, 7 o'clock found him in his house, and from that moment on, every minute was for his children and his wife. Never went out for a drink, never went out to a club, never went out to do politics, as some people say. He stayed at home. He did homework with us. He took us for walks. He played the piano and we sang with him. And we're grateful for that. We should all be good parents to our children. We should give them time. We should make them love their country. He was a great parent. Now, to conclude, I want to thank very much the NRM government for choosing to honor our father. Thank you. Thank you, Democratic Party. For you, it is your pride, of course. And indeed, but still, we thank you, particularly Norbert Mao, for all the effort you have put into giving him this fitting tribute. To friends and family, friends particularly, who have been with us from the moment he breathed his last, who've worked so hard, flat out, to accompany him and us. Thank you so much. And to family, you too, we don't take you for granted. Thank you for being there for us. So on behalf of my siblings, thank you all.
Thank you, Honorable Byanyima.